Hey everybody, today we're here to discuss how the Canadian Red Cross, who we will refer to as CRC from here on in, realize significant benefits by adding HubSpot to their tech stack with the help of their trusted agency partner, Six and Flow.
The Canadian Red Cross is part of the largest humanitarian network in the world, which is made up of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, the International Committee of the Red Cross, and there's actually 191 national societies around the world. And the Canadian Red Cross's mission is really dedicated to helping people and communities in Canada and around the world in their times of need and supporting them and strengthening their resilience. So some of our pain points that we were looking to solve for with that RFP were siloed tech. I've shared kind of all the breadth of digital advertising and marketing that my team is responsible for. We were all using different tools and platforms. None of them were integrated together.
With our previous ESP, we were completely isolated. So you could say we were on an island, so to speak. Our ESP had no connection to our donation platform or to our CRM.
We had a lot of manual work on the team. We lacked processes and had to create workarounds to be effective. Don't get me wrong, the team was amazing. It raised a ton of money, but it was just a lot of extra internal work.
Also, with our previous ESP, some of the capabilities were not well developed. For example, the effort it took for us to run A/B tests, we had to take the data, export it out, split the data ourselves, and re-import it in for every single campaign that we did a test. So it was a large time waster for us.
We lacked the visibility into how all of our fundraising channels were performing together, and that made reporting and strategic decision-making more difficult. The philanthropic landscape is changing, the way people want to give is changing, the way people want to be communicated to is changing, so we knew that in order to stay ahead of those trends, we had to take a deep look at everything and build a strong tech platform that we could build on for years to come. In 2022, that's when we completed the RFP process, and ultimately the successful vendors were FundraiseUp and HubSpot. They have a native integration together, and through a third-party connector, we were able to integrate with our CRM. We learned Six and Flow is one of very few elite HubSpot partners across the globe. And I know you have I don't know all the names of all the fancy implementation accreditations, but that was a strong selling point for us. Six and Flow had committed to us to really deliver customized training and documentation, leveraging video and other ways of engaging, the 150 people within philanthropy, and then all the other teams that are going to need to use this tool. Change management was such a key, important factor for me personally and for the Red Cross. So, and I can say that Six and Flow absolutely delivered on that and was also enjoyable to work with along the way.
So naturally, on the Six and Flow side, we do have a series of steps to follow when it comes to onboarding a business to HubSpot. Being the very first one, a strategy workshop that more or less just was focused on gathering stakeholder feedback, understanding their needs, understanding what they were expecting, and then from there being able to map out their full donor journey, understand across the board what stages they needed for us to go ahead and cover within the implementation towards HubSpot. We then moved on to implementing all of that process that we had strategized. So we went ahead and really divvied up all of the tasks necessary along the delivery team to understand the bigger pieces or that foundational base within the new HubSpot CRM for them in regards to the marketing hub. Here's a lot of the part when we were just analyzing all of those different data points that were going to come in, both from FundraiseUp and eventually from their main CRM. And of course, looking a little bit more at the bigger picture and their needs for being able to have their tech stack now communicate amongst itself. So being able to enable them in the sense of setting up the necessary elements to have reporting, dashboards, and more automation moving forward. We really worked together on building then a training plan to say, enable each person on your team to know what is going on, know how it is going to work, and then also the relevancy for each of their different areas. So we really worked detailed in having different trainings for each of those teams, being able to build the documentation that they would need and can reference, even though we know HubSpot always has new features and updates, still trying to give them just that enablement to feel comfortable with what they were getting out of it.
So our first campaign launched in April of 2024, and the design aspect of the email creation was very friendly and efficient. Our biggest sort of win with HubSpot isn't necessarily the design aspect of emails, but more so the technical background. So the open rates and were lower and the clicks were both consistent. However, year over year, we did experience with the Spring Match a campaign increase of 31% in email donations, which is a great sign. Additionally, HubSpot has been able to automate thank you emails for us that are trigger based on donation activity, something that we couldn't do before. HubSpot also has provided a structure to allow us to segment and personalize our donor data in more detailed ways for a more integrated donor experience. Our HubSpot email campaign reporting now shows donation information, which is a huge win as well. Lastly, data between systems is becoming easier to maintain as we have email metrics flowing between programs. For example, unsubscribes flow immediately to a CRM, so we don't have to manually import those into our CRM.
Yeah, and honestly, the future is super exciting and bright, I would say. Now feel extremely excited, and so does our senior leadership. We've had questions from our CEO, our chief development officer, like, what are they doing over there? Why is this success happening? You know, I think everyone speaks really highly of all of the work with the new tech stack, with HubSpot, with Fundraise, with all of our vendors. We have some pretty lofty goals. We want to take our online marketing and fundraising to that next level with more sophisticated workflows. We want to integrate all of our channels, email, ads, SMS. I think there's a lot of, a lot of opportunity, especially with our monthly giving program, leveraging HubSpot and Fundraise app. And we just feel confident that we now have the tools, the team, and the vendor support to achieve unprecedented growth in the next 3 to 5 years.